Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to check out the new in-game buffs and debuffs tracker. This is especially a game changer for console, especially for end game raiding guilds. Now let's check what you actually can do. First off, we are on the private test server of Morrowind, so I'm not sure if this is the final version. Some things might change. If there is something that crucial that really changes, I will do another video. So we have self buffs, shows the buffs effects on you, debuffs on yourself. Then we have target debuffs, and even can activate target debuffs from others on the enemy. Long-term effects and permanent effects. So obviously we need to put those on, otherwise nothing will show. Permanent buffs, what are those? Major Prophecy from Inner Light as a plus member and the Thief Mundustone. Okay, makes sense, I guess. Long effects, buff food and vampire. I don't know why it's twice here. I think it's a bug on the PTS. So let's just try to use some other effects along here. I don't know, just whatever. So when you look at it, on the right side is always the one that's gonna run out the soonest. It's gonna drop off soon. So that's a good thing that it's not RNG, so you actually kinda have, you can look, you know where to look. You need to look on the right side to see when it will run out. Let's deactivate the permanent and long, because who needs those? There's a lot of different things. So this is Obsidian Shield, Flames of Oblivion, Major Resolve, Major Ward, Volatile, Minor Brutality, and Regeneration. I don't know this, and this, so I think they now introduced symbols for all the debuffs and buffs. And I think, I'm not sure if this is new. Maybe they changed some of them too. So maybe there will be a list of all those buffs and debuffs so people actually recognize them. Otherwise you're like, what does this mean? I don't know. But you cannot like move them around. You cannot place them somewhere else. So at least currently I'm not sure if they plan on doing that or not. Guess we will see. Then the next thing, when we look at the enemy, the apply stuff, it's on top. So basically now it's on the thing that runs out soon is on the left side. What I usually do on PC when I have dot trackers, I only track 1 or 2 buffs, right, or debuffs on the enemy. For example, on a Magicka setup, I usually only, like when I'm on a Magicka Templar or a Magicka Sword, I only track Blockade of Fire or Blockade of Shock, because I know when Blockade of Shock like is about to run out, like 2 seconds, 1 second earlier, I know, okay, I have to weapon swap, reapply all my dots there, and then I have to go back again and weave things till Blockade of Fire is almost about to run up and I weapon swap again. That's usually how I track things. I don't track all debuffs because like it's pointless. You need to be aware of your surroundings, and if you're only looking at dot trackers, you're gonna die all the time, okay? So that's probably gonna happen on console anyway, because people are busy looking at the dot at those symbols like, oh, what's this? I need to not miss stuff, and then they stand in the red AoEs and the rip. It's gonna happen 100%. At least there is a structure, so you know on the left side the thing is gonna run out pretty soon. Because you see those 3 fireballs, I think it's a snare applied to the enemy. Who cares? like, I don't care about the snare. I just want to see the burning embers and the engulfing flames when they run out, so I can reapply them. But those other two effects there, I really like. I cannot affect them anyway. They just proc when I use one of those abilities or when a fire ability is used. So I cannot affect them, so why would I want them on the screen? That's something on PC, when you have add-ons, you can do, and on console, not. Is it a bad thing? I mean, sure, it's not optimal when you have all those debuffs there and it confuses you, but I think you just have to get used to it. Once you get used to it, it's not that big of a problem. Then another thing you might have noticed, the buff itself, when you look now. Let me use a fire stuff. Do I have one? Nope. Oh, here. So you see the ground-based dots are not shown on the enemy. Sure, something pops up, but that's the burning effect that just popped up. Or other effect. It's not the ability itself. So you cannot track ground-based damage abilities. Same with eruption. Something will pop up, but the thing that pops up there is the snare. You see the second part of the text, and reducing their movement speed by 70%. It's actually not the damage ability itself, because otherwise you would see a duration and it has 18 seconds, but it doesn't show anything. It just shows you that the enemy is snared. Healing abilities like overtime are also on the bottom there. So what do I think about this buff debuff tracker? I do think it's a good start. It will be very helpful. I think at the beginning people will be slightly overwhelmed because you need to get used to all those new symbols which people are not aware of and all that kind of stuff. But once you actually know that, it's gonna be great. I think this will give you a huge, like, it will give a huge buff in damage numbers because people actually can focus on their buffs and dots. However, again, it will also be dangerous because people will only focus on those buffs and tracks and then not look where they stand and die to weird things. That's my 2 pieces on it. I do hope the Zenimax will make it possible to move them around. So for example, when I have the debuffs applied on the enemy, that maybe I can have it here on this side, because that's where I prefer to have them. I don't want them on top there. I want them to have here on this side. So I do hope we will see that in the future. That's a good thing. Now I just really hope, like, the only thing that really is missing now is a DPS tracker for bosses. We already have one for target skeleton here, right? So I really wish they would now, even if it's only for trial bosses or like dungeon bosses. We know they can do it, they just don't need to be lazy. So for our bosses like Manticora, Serpent, Troll, Ozara, Rakat, so they just introduce the same function as here, so people actually can see what kind of DPS they are getting. This would help so much, especially for, let's say, the advanced PvE stuff. And if they don't apply it to everything, you will not get annoyed by it, right? If you only activate this for the big bosses, then it's not that big of a deal. Because if it would be applied to every player or every small mob, you would only have like pops up all the time. But if they only apply it to big bosses, no problemo. So let's hope they're gonna introduce that sometime. What do you think about this new feature? Do you like it? Do you think it's gonna be good and useful? Please let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe. I will cover more Morrowind topics pretty soon. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.